Today we talk about real estate markets, boom to bust. I'm going to break down the entire real estate market and make my predictions for the next 18 months. So I'm going to ask you two questions. How can we look at all these changes and benefit from them? And two, what patterns exist and how can we make really good decisions moving forward? So in this first chart, you can see I broke down the real estate into both residential and commercial. And of course, residential can mean condos, single family entry, high-end, customs, and the commercial can of course mean multifamily, office, retail, industrial, mall, etc. Real estate is a big category. And so in the middle of all this are the banks. The reason why they're important is because while you might just be involved in the single family market, the banks, however, might be involved in the entire market. Banks also diversify in all these different categories. So a bank might have loans in single family, multifamily, office, retail, industrial. You get the point. So when one sector of real estate goes down, it affects the bank, which also affects the lending for you on the single family side. It's important that you understand that the debt and the equity markets are in all sectors, and while you might just be in one or two of these, what they do next could affect the way you do business in the future. So let's take a look at these two categories. For the single family, you have migration patterns. Where did everyone go? 2, interest rates. We've had 10 interest rate increases. 3, new construction is at a standstill because of the cost of construction and the interest rates. And 4, the values have dropped largely as a result to where people have moved and the interest rates. On the commercial side of the equation, you've got the work from home, which has completely changed the way people are actually using office space. Interest rates, which affect the entire category negatively. Buying habits from the consumer, which now most people do not want to go to bricks and mortar. That means retail, that means malls, that means even office buildings. And anything that they order, they want it immediately delivered to their house from some internet provider. And of course, 4 are values as a result of these higher interest rates. And in the center of all this are the banks, which of course are concerned about the values, which they're going to lend less money on in the future as values continue to go down, which further erodes the equity that could be sitting in these assets. So with regard to residential, one of the biggest issues is where did all these people go in 2020, 2021, 22, and 23? And now where are they headed for 2024? So I've given you 5 websites to go take a look at, and this is really good information. This kind of tells you about migration patterns, but the biggest issue that I want you to focus on is what happens when demand falls and supply rises, or in this case, when demand rises and supply falls. So each time a person moves, let's say, from Seattle to Phoenix, it puts pressure on Phoenix, and of course, demand falls in Seattle. So that's where I want you to stay as we start to see these people move around from inside their cities to the suburbs, or even from state to state. What it does is it puts lots of pressure on things like schools, on things like restaurants, on things like residential rentals, or even single-family purchases. More people in one area with existing supply puts demand on that supply and makes prices go up, just like it shows here in this slide. So these are 5 categories: U-Haul, North American Van Lines, Pods, Moving.com, and Extra Space Storage. All have different data points that show different people going to different spots. But generally, there are some winners, and those are Texas and Florida, Carolinas and Tennessee are the top ones right now. So what happens when hundreds of thousands of people move to these markets? Puts a lot of pressure on the existing supply and drives prices up. Demand rises, supply falls, and prices rise. It's just that simple. So if you want to predict where to go for 2023 and 2024, just stick right here. Invest where people are actually moving, because these numbers are going to, of course, push the demand up, the supply down, and prices are going to rise in those areas. So you don't want to be a pioneer. You want to go where people are going. So the disruptors for residential moving forward are going to be high interest rates and low construction and lots of people. You want to be in those locations. That's where you need to invest in the next 24 months. So now let's take a look at commercial real estate, which could include multifamily, office, retail, industrial, malls, etc. So what is happening with work from home? This has significantly changed where people are working from, which in a good way helps residential, in a bad way hurts office buildings. In addition to that, people's buying habits are very much different today. In other words, now they're at home ordering things online, expecting them to be delivered right to their home. This is having a huge effect to commercial real estate, severely affecting the values of that real estate. So the people that are holding the equity and the debt in those particular properties are looking at some very rough roads ahead for the next few years. So I've given you 4 articles here, one from JP Morgan, one from National Law Review, Business Insider, and CNN. And all these articles are consistent with a video I did not long ago called The First Domino to Fall. And this is primarily targeted toward office buildings. The reason why I chose these 4 articles is because not only are they talking about the high vacancy in these office buildings and the fact that they might not even be worth the debt, but how many banks might be holding that debt. Many small and regional local banks might be holding that debt. And we will be looking at some severe pain on the banking side as a result of these loans maturing. So these 5 articles have specifically to do with the actual banks here in the middle, which, as you can see, both asset classes draw from. American offices are half empty. That could be the next big risk for banks. Small banks hold nearly 70% of the commercial real estate loans. That's on Axios. Small U.S. banks imperiled by big office loans. Bank jitters put spotlight on commercial real estate. These 3 charts pinpoint the trouble spots. Make sure you look at that one on MarketWatch. And small banks, big problems, too many commercial real estate loans by Barron's. All of these are independent articles talking about the same thing. That is, the commercial debt is starting to mature in the next couple of years, and the values of these properties are worth less than the actual debt itself. Somebody's going to eat that loss. And my prediction, it's going to be Main Street and Wall Street. So how does that work? As people invest in pensions, life insurance, 401ks, and any kind of retirement plans, somebody's managing that money. And that money makes it into big projects like this, whether you know it or not. And as it rolls back and these losses are taken, it's going to start to show up in your quarterly and annual statements. So my prediction is that we're going to see some serious defaults on the commercial real estate side. On the residential side, we're going to see an inventory shortage as a result of people holding on to these 2 and 3 and 4% loans because technically they're assets right now as rates continue to increase. But one thing that will happen is that people that would normally be able to buy here on the single family side are now going to have to jump over to here to rent in the multifamily side because these housing prices are probably not going to go down drastically, yet the interest rates could stay high for some time. So there's going to be a larger gap for the mortgage to the rent, and it's going to force more people into rentals. And underpinning all of this, the banks are going to be sitting there trying to figure out how far underwater are we on these individual assets and who's going to actually take the loss. How does this all end? Well, no different than the game Monopoly, where he or she must turn over all she has of value to that player and retire from the game.